we're going to apply this concept of inverse functions, and specifically an inverse linear function, maybe into the possible application. So let's read this first part here. Peggy rents a car for the day. The total cost, C of x, so the function C of x represents the total cost in dollars, is given by the function C of x is equal to $19.99 plus 0.3x, where x is the number of miles she drives. So the total cost of renting this car, C of x, is $19.99, which is obviously a one-time charge, plus 30 cents a mile, where x is the mile. That would be the cost of renting the car for the day. Now we're asked to find the inverse function, so let's go about that. So we're going to replace C of x with y. So now we got $19.99 plus 0.3x. And now we're going to swap the x's and y's. So now I got x equals $19.99 plus 0.3y. And now we're going to solve for y. So I'm first going to subtract $19.99 a day from both sides. So now I got x minus $19.99 equals 0.3y. And now, and I'm going to move this up over here to the right. And so now we're going to divide both sides of this equation by 0.3 to isolate the y. So this would then result in x minus $19.99 divided by 0.3 equals y. And then to finish this off, to find the inverse function, we're going to write it in inverse function 4 by replacing y with the inverse function C of x. So we got C, the inverse function C of x is equal to x minus $19.99 divided by 0.3. Now continuing, what do x and the inverse function C of x represent in the context of the inverse function? Well, now x in the inverse function, x is going to equal the total cost of renting the car, and the inverse function C of x is going to equal the number of miles driven. All right, so that's our context. And then it says, how many miles did Peggy drive if her total cost was $34.99? Well, we're going to substitute this $34.99 for x into our inverse function formula. So we got the inverse function of x equals, and remember it was x minus $19.99 divided by 0.3. So we got $34.99 minus $19.99 divided by 0.3. This is going to give us the number of miles. Let's see, $34.99 minus $19.99 is 15. So now we got 15 divided by 0.3. And so 15 divided by 0.3 is 50. So the inverse function, the number of miles driven in this function formula, is 50 miles. All right, well, there's a little application of how we might want to use an inverse function.